Look, Marlon. Desiree didn't work because you're too tall for Napoleon. You had to stand next to Michael Rennie the whole picture.
You should talk, Rod. I saw Waterloo. I saw what you did. Everything was dubbed. I couldn't understand a word of what anyone was saying. Therefore, that makes me the better Napoleon.
Listen, you had your chance. You were on your way through Russia. It just wasn't your night.
Wasn't my night. Wasn't my night. After Austerlitz, I could have taken Europe apart.
Listen, you had some cavalry. You were sent some dragoons.
You just don't get it, do you, Charlie? I could have taken Moscow. I could have stayed emperor instead of being stuck here on Elba, which is where I am. Let's face it.
Listen, you, Francois, pull over.
I'm Larry Hagman.
And I'm Guy Kibbe.
and welcome to I Dream of Smelly Things on Furniture.
I dream of furniture stripping. You know, when you're doing furniture stripping, it's not a lot of brain work.
So in order to keep from going sane, you have to talk about completely other things. And that, of course, you know really is Joe Lorario, and I'm Ed Feldman. It's called Furniture to Go. They make us say that every stinking week.
Every stinking
Why?
week.
So you won't confuse us with James Burke, the guy they really want to win the awards.
That's Connections Light, you know.
Connections Light. You know, in the old show, he used to go from Algiers to the Antarctica, and now they have enough budget so he can go to the end of his driveway.
Here we go. Now he's putting the remover on here. Over here, let me just turn this a little bit, Ed.
This is a pew, by the way.
Look.
And boy, does it.
It's pewy. I'm going to put these gloves on.
And we're patting on our favorite orange stripper. And it's working right away.
Going to use the chips over here. First, I want to don the dust mask.
And since it is a sort of a religious thing, it is out of some sort of place of worship, I am wearing a Yamaha.
But this is about from late 1890s, I'd say. And I got the planer chips. The stripper's been on here for about an hour. And you just take the chips, and we're going to rub. Oh, it comes off. Look at that.
Now you'll see some of the parts like the base and the inside of the back. We're not stripping that because we're going to be covering that in a most unusual way, and besides, doesn't have any finish on it anyway.
No.
Most of this pew is walnut. The bottom, however, is pine. But we're going to strip that as well.
Now, always wear a dust mask, because if you don't, the nose hairs are going to take on the wintry look of the Scotch pine. You're going to have horrible stuff in your nose.
And all night long at the dinner table, you're going to be sneezing, and all that stuff's going to come out all over the mashed potatoes.
It's horrible. So wear a dust mask. You'll save your lungs. Going to the different mask because I'm using lacquer thinner on the side here.
Right, he's already used his chips to take off the old remover.
And this scene, I'm going to use pretzels now. We've done the chips.
I'm doing the chips on the first level of remover. Boy, that wood is very nice underneath.
Isn't it pretty? Now with this, you can use the scrub brush to get all the stuff on here. All right, and you can also use the abrasive pad to scrub.
That's very pretty, very, very pretty.
You should also wear some goggles. Now once you get the whole thing washed, like this here, hold it.
Oh, all right. I'll work this side of the street,
Work
buddy.
that side.
You know, another good thing about this stripper?
What?
You can actually reuse it. Even though it's picking up a lot of the stuff, you can put it in a bucket and use it on your next stripping job.
Now here I got more chips right over the lacquer thinner to dry up the lacquer thinner. Take the brush again. And there you have your clean stripping job.
More pew work. Yeah.
Look, Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. It's a great
Doesn't
scene.
the Pope have one of those?
He's got one. He sold one, gave it to the poor. Made a lot of money.
Yeah, sure.
If he would.
He's got a ring on his finger worth $8 grand.
Anyway, this is the same piece, the scepter.
Yeah, see, where we got this from, there were a whole bunch of them. So we could cut up like 40 of them to get one good one.
Well, see, one of the little rosettes here, they was broken. It was broken there.
That broke off. You needed one.
So if you take the chisel, that'll knock that right off there.
And we cut these off with a big, giant hacksaw.
Well, we had somebody cut them off, but if you don't got to cut them off like that, you can cut them off with a coping saw. See, you say, I can cope, I can cope, I can't cope, I can cope.
How long is this show?
Just keep running. See? You got
But
the
this
general.
one is screwed up anyway, so you don't even want that
Well, I'm
one.
just showing you. This is the way
The
it's
main
done.
thing is we got 3 of these.
And of course, you can cut it this way.
And we want to sand the back. That's wrong. You shouldn't even cut bread that way.
You cut it this way, you see, and then
Look at that. It's got a little button.
body
and
parts to go. Oh, whoa, let's do it. Go.
We have to sand off the inside so it fits flush.
You want it flush, and then we cut this off here.
Now that you can do. Takes less time. In the meantime, in between time,
Now you see what you got here?
EO11.
There's actually a dowel in there. This might come out. Let's see, it may not come out. You know what I
Oh,
need?
hit it.
Just stay right there.
He needs the belt sander.
I gotta go back here. See, I need the pliers.
It's all right.
Get the pliers to put it right there. Perfect extraction, see that? But Doc, it was this tooth, not that one.
But doctor, the discharge is in my ear.
Now, can I have, wait a minute.
Famous punchlines from history.
Wait a minute, let's get this.
Of course, I didn't really have to put any glue on the middle because there's a hole there. But that's all right. Now, of course, we'll clean, sand, and tack rag. Sure we will. We're going to put this right
Put that
on
right
there.
on there, right?
Will you let me? I have to sight it up. America, watch the bald spot. There it is. Everybody can see it.
And we'll put a piece of tape right on here.
That's a homemade clamp if ever I've seen one. You don't know how good that feels. Just 2 more screws, and now just 1 more screw. And let's see if this fits in. Working off to the side. Oh, it's going to be perfect, but what is it? These are forms. Come on out of there. They're forms that we, or someone like we, have put together out of little piece wood, big piece wood. Why? Because this piece is so darn old that we don't want to put any more staple holes in there when attaching fabric. So we are doing something called non-intrusive fabric attachment. They do this on very fine, old, expensive antiques, things you might see in a conservatory or in an art museum. And what they do is they actually upholster plywood or wooden forms and then sit them on top of the frame so as not to damage the frame anymore. And that's what we're going to do. I've measured out because I'm going to be upholstering on this form. And I'm going to cut my foam first with the electric carving knife, that most lonely and forlorn of kitchen appliances. Now it comes out of the drawer 3 times during the year. Easter ham, Thanksgiving turkey, and foam cutting season. This one actually was found in Brentwood by Detective Furman. You know, I'm the only guy who figured out a defense for that jerk. He's got Tourette's. Okay, here we go. Gonna make a cut like this. Look how nice a beveled cut. I'm just gonna flip this around and start to staple. Here's my, I've got so many electric things here. I'm having a great time. I'm just gonna staple right down on here because this part is gonna be hidden by the foam that's gonna lap over it. That's gonna be attached to the seat. And of course, we're gonna cover this with fabric. Whenever you have dimples made by staples like this, you can always fill that up later with little bits of cotton batting. So there won't be any problem. And now I'll do the same thing here. This is going to fit against the inside back. and you can take this out and clean it or throw it all in the dishwasher. Now, of course, while I'm doing this, Joe is probably doing something else.
Let's move this. Move it away.
Oh, God. Oh, I forgot. We work in one of the last steam-powered television studios.
Look, see what the pew here on the bottom. See this foot here? This piece here? You know what that's called? It's called a plinth. Oh, but it's broken, see? It's all spurled. Now you got to cut that. You got to make a new one. And the easiest way to do that, first you got to get some nice walnut. This is a piece of walnut. Same width. And cut it in half and laminated 2 pieces together. And you got to get this shape, of course. Here's the piece. I clamped it down and set it up like this, right here. And I marked it. See that? All I got to do now is cut it out. Cut it out? I'm going to cut, and you got to wear goggles when you use the jigsaw. Now, you should do this on a bandsaw, but we got a terribly low budget here. There's no bandsaw. So I'm going to cut it out with a jigsaw. I hope it works. If it doesn't, well then. There we go. Well, it worked. It worked. Of course, I had to break the table and do lots of other things. But that's what happens when you got kind of like a makeshift shop and not a real shop. You got a nice plinth there, right? Now all you got to do is cut the bottom. Where did I put my pencil? Here it is. I got to cut it to length now. So there we go. Let's get this again. Now look at this. It's perfect. Look at that. Now we'll take this over here. I'm working. I got my friend up there looking at me. See that big picture there? That guy, I painted that a long time ago. Here it is. Does that look nice? How does it look?
Looks great!
Can I get some applause or something? Working with bare stones and knives.
This is fascinating reading. 10, then comes 11. We're about to upholster our form, which already has the foam on it. And of course, while you were gone, I've cut off the bottom so it fits in better. Here's the fabric we got. It's all right. This is a little piece, so it has to have a little print. No big giant flowers that are going to go right off the table like that. So we got a nice little print. It's not exactly Gothic. It's repeated. It'll be fine. It's not mine. That's the important thing. And now we'll start to upholster this by turning it over, centering it up nicely. The good thing about this fabric is that you can see how it repeats on the inside, just like my lunch. And then we can pull it tight because we don't want the little flowers going off or slanting down at the bottom of the form. You want them nice and even. And of course, you know the right way to do it. You pull the top, you put a center of the staple there, and then you pull the bottom, you pull it tight, you put a staple in there, and then you start working out, and then you start to work a corner. Now, since nobody's ever going to see these inside corners, you really don't have to make any kind of elaborate release cuts. And folding a corner is a lot like raising kids. You try something, it doesn't work, you try something else, and then they go away, they don't call you, they just ask for money. So I'm going to fold this around, and yes, I am going to get a couple of pleats, but this is going to fit right up against the inside of that pew, so nobody's really ever going to see that, and this is going to come under a lip there. So as long as it's tight and the front looks good, it's a lot like the kids. It doesn't matter what kind of rotten kids they are. As long as they dress nice when you go out to church or whatever kind of bankrupt religious institution you're into.
Oh, look at this. What the heck was that? Somebody had an accident off camera, I
Colon
think.
blow.
I'm putting in bunk pews. See, this is the first column. Poured concrete.
Second tier.
Pitch in there. There we go.
That's for the high Anglicans.
I'm going to shellac. See, the whole piece has been stripped, and then it was washed with naphtha, allowed to dry, and we did the repairs, and now I'm going to sand this. Now look at this pretty color that comes on here, with no stain at all on the pew. Look at that. This is a spit coat of shellac, you know, 5 parts.
What? And what are we putting on?
Spit coat, people who need spit coat.
That's right.
He's a smart man. There we go. Look at that. Now you let this dry, sand it down lightly, and then we'll apply the varnish. Oh, you're going to fit that in there?
Hey, Steve.
Hey, how are you, Norm?
I'm just going to see how this fits. I did this on my laser-guided staple gun. Hey, that's going to look nice.
Look pretty?
I'll just go back and continue with my low-yield fission explosion stapling machine.
Okay. Sounds good. And afterward, I bet you this will be a good seat for you, Norm. Extra wide.
My mini-series is sponsored by Molson's. I'm going to do the seat now, and the seat is very much the same as the back. And of course, when we spread the repeated patterned fabric over the seat, we want to make sure that it will line up with the back with the same kind of curves, meeting the same kind of curves. Oh, you know. And I flip it over, and look, someone's already been stapling it. It's as if things happen when you're not here. Pulling this tight and stapling along the inside and not having to be very careful about how we do our staples because nobody will see inside. Where does this thing come from? I think it's Anglican. I don't think it's Catholic. I don't think it's Methodist. I think it's Anglican. All the pomp, less guilt.
Very neat when you varnish. Slop it on and then be neat. And here I am sitting in my pew. It's a nice pew. You know, a lot of people want to know what I did before I met Ed. I spent a lot of time in bars. And one bar I used to hang out with that guy in the painting back there, that's my friend Donald. Used to hang out in this bar. It was all dark wood paneling, and the actual bar was all walnut mahogany. So this kind of takes me back to those days. And old Donald is dead now. But he was a good friend, and I miss him. So this, I'll call this the Donald Show. And you see how pretty the varnish goes? It's got that shellac sealer coat on there, and then it was sanded down with like a 320 paper, and then tack ragged, of course. Tack rag. And you throw this varnish on real fast like that. And then you go back and do your touch-ups. I'm gonna go around here, watch. You see all those bubbles that are occurring? Don't worry about those. Go back and pick those up after. Okay? Now, here we go. We'll come back to that. Give them time to drip a little bit, and we'll come back and pick up the drips, which was, I think, the Average White Band did that.
Pick up the drips.
Pick up the drips. That was the flip side of pick up the pieces.
You cut the tasty cake.
Right. Now you're regional there.
Oh, I'm regionalizing. What can I do? It reminds me to when I was Samurai rabbinical student. That's what I did before I met Joe.
That's not insulting too many people.
I figure Jews, Japanese, and John Belushi all at the same time.
Letters! We get letters! We get lots and lots of letters! Yay, letters!
Oh, letters. In honor of the Eagles and the Eagles cheerleaders, we've changed into our Eagle Green. Go Eagles! And our first letter is from Herb Yarnow. Who cares?
And he says, help! Help! I'm in desperate need of your advice. He owns a writing desk. It's solid mahogany, several shelves covered by glass doors with a drop-down writing surface above 3 drawers.
I couldn't care less.
The problem is covered with small scratches that has removed the mahogany stain.
Mahogany.
Yeah, I wish to cover the scratches, I love this, with something easy. How about easy off?
How about a nice doily?
No, if you want to cover those scratches and fill it in, just use some dark-colored lemon oil scratch fill. That'll take care
He's
of it.
getting a cold drink right now. He's not listening to that letter. Dear Furniture Guys, from Dixie McCrory.
Dixie McCrory.
From down there. Boys, you can strip my veneer anytime. Thought I couldn't be further removed from furniture repair, but your show has become one of my favorites since discovering it 2 months ago. You are the answer to the question, what makes a man sexy? Dixie, thank you very much, but frankly, my ego doesn't need anything today. I've got
Not today.
cheerleaders here.
We're all cheery here today. This one is from Andrew Burke from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada.
It's
And
cold up
he
there.
says, I love your show. I watch your crazy antics twice a day like the salivating dog that I am. With all the other hit shows pumping out merchandise left and right, why am I not seeing similar paraphernalia from my 2 favorite furniture fiction
You
heroes?
can buy the Furniture Guys t-shirt
That's true.
at pawn shops near you.
But he sent us these little toys. Hey, Christmas is coming. Here's you, Ed. The Ed,
Here I am.
the Ed and the Joe.
Who needs that base?
No, we don't need the bases. Look.
Action Figures is where it's at.
Look at this. It's the same scarf, as a matter of fact.
And the
See,
same
it?
little glasses, and I look
we-
a lot better down
We got our. You look like from the first season.
Yeah, I know. Well,
And
I'm
here-
going to see Jenny Craig real soon.
Yeah, and you'll take her out on a date.
To dinner.
To dinner, of course.
Look, I can be a cheerleader, too.
Ooh, that hurts.
Can we join the crew? Yeah! Well, thanks. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you very much. We want to thank the Eagles cheerleaders and come back for more soon.
Rise, my son. We're done the Pew, and we're done the We Love Religion show. By the way, I don't think we were too disrespectful, do you think?
Not considering what we could have said.
Where'd you get that hat? What religion's that from?
The Druids.
The Druids.
The Druids.
Tell us about this.
Well, here's the pew. Look, it's a beautiful, it's walnut now. It's got the original color on there, not that black icky stuff that was all over.
And we've
before.
got the removable upholstered forms. You can take it out if you like to suffer, if you're like Orthodox, or put it in if you're comfortable and want to be reformed.
Look, here's the before.
Or the Genesis.
The Genesis, and look, the Revelations.
Or Deuteronomy for
Whatever.
you Pentateuch fans.
I'm Joe Lorario.
And I'm Ed Feldman.
And as we always say, be nice to your furniture.
Shalom.
Coming up next, Bob Vila's home again. Join Mr. Fix-It himself for 2 back-to-back shows, adding contemporary convenience to antique homes, maintaining the class and charm. Stay with us here on TLC.